This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good. All right, let's get started. Web services testing. Okay, so basically, in software industry, we have architecture, right? We already discussed about this in the previous sessions. So one-tier architecture, two-tier architecture, n-tier architecture, right? So it starts with two-tier architecture and n-tier architecture. So where if n is equal to 2, in which case we call two-tier architecture, right? So there will be client, which is browser, and web server, right? And in three-tier architecture, we have client, web service, which is also known as ESB, enterprise service bus, then database. Okay, so likewise you can go on increasing the web services, that will become n-tier architecture. Okay, so what is architecture first of all? Okay, so this whole thing is known as service oriented architecture. Service oriented architecture, or in short known as SOA. So if you heard the term before, SOA, that means it's service oriented architecture, which is a style of software design where services are provided to other components by application components through a communication protocol over the network. So the basic principle of service oriented architecture is there are different products sharing with different vendors with different technologies. That's what the service oriented architecture is. So it's basically a style of software design where services are provided to other components. So we don't have to worry about the service oriented architecture. All we have to worry about is how do we test it, right? So the service oriented, like in every application is developed by the developers, whether it is Java or .NET, right? They design the code and implement the code. And likewise, database administration guys, they create the tables and maintain the tables. Okay, they write their own code. Okay, likewise, the integration team takes care of service oriented architecture, which is taken care by who? Integration team. They will write the code for ESB, for how to get the request in terms of XML or JSON, how to process it, how to send it to the Java code, the developers, or how to store it in database, how to fetch from database and form the response and send it back to web service. So this all thing is taken care by the integration team. So all we have to do is whatever code they developed is properly working. So we have to perform the what kind of testing? What kind of testing is it called? Anyone guesses? Wait, it's not responding. Okay, until then you can think about the answer. Not responding. Why not responding? Let's see the space. 38 MB. Right.
But I don't have money right now. You don't understand me. Oh, dude, you.
Okay. So, what is the answer? What kind of testing we do? SOA testing or service-oriented architecture testing. So, what is the SOA testing? It's a testing of service-oriented architecture, which is basically we take care of creating or forming the request and hit the service. We will be given a URI and through any tool. So we cannot do it manually, but we have to use the tool. So there are some tools in the industry such as SoapUI or Postman, or we can also do automated testing, automate them and fetch the response, and ultimately we have to compare expected results with the actual results. So that's a SOA testing. So it's testing of service oriented architecture.
Is kind of API testing.
Correct, yeah. So XML testing. What the fuck is wrong with this? Yeah. What did he say? API testing, right? API testing, XML testing, API. Okay, XML or SOAP testing. JSON, API or RESTful services, right? Or API testing. So let's put XML before SOAP before the XML. Okay, so these are the types of testing we do in the service-oriented architecture testing. And what kind of tools? These are the types of testing. And what kind of tools we use? Yeah.
SoapUI.
SoapUI and
Postman.
what's that?
Postman.
Postman and
RESTful API.
RESTful API. Is it a tool? I never heard of it. That's a tool name, maybe. And Parasoft, SOA test. That's a tool. And IBM Operational Service Tester. And okay, these are like some of the more automated tools, like RST is an automated tool, and automated tool jars also there. Rest assured. Okay, so using this we can test them. So basically, this is to test the architectural design of the application components. Okay, so basically how it would look like: sample SOAP request, which is also called payload. Request, we have request and response going on. Request and response, right? So how the sample SOAP request look like, or we can also call payload. So it's an XML, it's in the form of XML. So everybody is aware of XML, right? So it has a header, and what else it has? Namespaces, SOAP binding, and the URL or WSDL, Web Service Definition Language. So SOAP N have envelope, XML namespaces, NS stands for SOAP environment equals blah blah blah, right? HTTP. So basically every payload is has a corresponding schema, so which might be in the form of a XSD. So you can think of it as a parent. Okay, so it's a parent out of which the XMLs can be checked against or generated. So every field possible will be there in the schemas. XML scope soap.org. So this is a standard /soap/envelope. Okay, so that's a SOAP envelope. And XML NS. So these are set by example.com. So there is a site called, so http://example.com. This takes care of the namespaces. There are other sites too which are government related. Okay, so then we have header. Every HTML page has header, body, and all this. Likewise, XML also has an header. So when I close this tag or element, that means it's starting and ending. There is no, it doesn't have any value. It's starting and ending right away, right? Now, every tag, if you're aware of HTML, you would know every HTML has tags like a tag, href, and all those, right? P. So whatever you open, you just insert, you enclose it with the, I mean, a value is enclosed within the tags, starting and ending tags. So ending tags are denoted by these. So if it doesn't have anything, you just end it right there. So and body in the head, after the header, body. So this basically doesn't have any header. So I just started and ended right away. So body is definitely there. It has to be there. Okay. Now body, inside body, I have a request because it's a request, right? And inside a request, let's say my request is about customer. So customer has an ID. So I'm just trying to put them in the same hierarchical structure. Don't worry. So when you save it as some payload.xml, request XML or something, it will automatically align them. So let's say a customer has ID. Let's say 123 ID, and this is the opening tag, right? Now I have to close this, so that indicates the closure. NS ID. Okay, ID is closed. So ID and ID, this indicates the ID is 123 and the ID belongs to the customer. So customer is the top object and ID is the parent object. So customer has a couple of information. So I'm mentioning all the sub objects or sub elements or sub tags. So customer has name, let's say NS name.
What does NS means here? Every
NS
text service.
Yeah, you can actually avoid this just to check. Namespaces are optional, so just don't worry. So if just to make it complicated for you, you can remove NSS. So just put simplicity.
We define it at line 3 of after service start, like XML NS colon NS equal to HTTP example.
So now we will save it as XML and we will see. Okay. Don't worry about the namespaces right now. So you can also have name type is equal so and so, but I don't want to complicate it at the beginning itself. So let's say this guy's name is John Doe and name is closed. And the customer is, and let's say that's all we need for the customer, ID and name. Okay. So why I'm ending this? Because that's how the integration team has designed it. That's why. So we can go with this. And customer is ended here. And customer. Okay. Now this is the customer object, whole customer object, and customer has ID 123, name is John Doe, and I'm just trying to align. And let's say he has much more information, but I just want to keep it simple in the beginning. So the customer is ended, then request has to end, right? Now request, end of request, then what has to end? Body is started, so I have to end the body, right? Okay, case sensitivity doesn't matter, so it's case insensitive, but case sensitivity matters inside the value. So okay, then what should end?
Header.
Huh?
Header.
Header is closed ended. No, header is ended already. That's what I told you in the beginning. It doesn't have any header. So if there is a header, it will be like this: header and header, right?
No.
Okay, let's keep
Stop
it.
in the stop in the.
I just wanted to show you that example also. So header, no header, that means I can just right away end it if it doesn't have. So what is left is
Soap environment.
envelope. Yeah, that whatever you open, it has to close. There is a close, start and end. Okay, if you don't close, it will be invalid XML. It will throw error. It will be invalidated. So envelope. Okay. So let's try to save it as an XML and see if it works. We have different tools, Alt XML or Soap XML, SoapUI too. Let's see, we can validate in the tool, but we'll validate it right away. There is no schema to validate it against, right? So let's validate it. Right. Okay, where I'm going. So let's call this request dot XML. All right. So now I am opening this with, it's still a text document, so don't worry, I'm going to change this. Or did I not copy? Okay, I guess I didn't. Okay, all I have to do is just change its extension because it's still text extension. Okay, I think it has to show. I have to show the extension. Okay, see. So now its extension is. So now I can easily edit right here. Just remove this text. Okay, so now it is showing differently. Now it will probably open with the Internet Explorer or Edge also. So if it is not a proper XML, it won't open. It won't show the data.
Think you miss the starting tag something.
Okay.
Copy
So
here.
that's the reason why it's not opening. Okay, let's do it.
Just open the file. The starting soap and
Okay,
the
let's.
left tag.
Okay, you're right. I have to end it here. So this all comes in the same line.
No, it's in the request.xml file I am talking about. It's not.
Yeah, I'll copy. I mean, I'm going to put it here and copy again. So yeah, so all right. So let's copy over there. So when you want to edit the XML, you can just edit it with the notepad directly. Okay, open with Internet Explorer, but edit it with notepad. Okay, let's try to open it again. Oh, that was fine. Oh, okay. I actually closed it.
Yeah, you close that one, but I'm talking about the first opening less than sign maybe before the
Okay,
scope internet.
whole thing is envelope.
Yeah, the whole thing, but I didn't see the less than sign before scope environment in the request.xml file. That's why.
Oh, I did not copy. Okay, you mean
Maybe
I did not copy this whole thing?
uh, I didn't see it. That's why.
Okay. I mean, we are doing it manually. That's not required. I just wanted to show you. We can directly jump to SOA, but just wanted to give you guys. Okay.
It's
So,
okay now.
okay. Never mind. So anyway, we don't have to do it manually. That's ridiculous. But let me pull up a sample web service. Okay? So these are the web services we can hit, but sample SOAP request. Yeah, you can also pull it from W3 schools. Yeah, it also says same syntax. Okay. Okay, so there we go. Oh my god. Okay, anyway. Very slow. Okay, so XML version, SOAP envelope, then blah blah blah. Okay, it went blank again. Okay, so that's fine. It's closed. Okay, so that's the sample XML. Just try it on your machine. We will try it on your machine. Okay, so that is for SOAP request, and for the rest it will look a little bit differently. So it is called JSON. It's in the form of JSON request. So it will look same thing, but instead of tags we have flower brackets. So let's say we have data object, and data has child objects, okay, type, and its value. It's always in the form of key and value pairs, type is a key, and type of data is, let's say, articles, and separated by comma here, and data has one more child, ID, okay, and colon, let's say 1 2 3, and comma separated by, okay. Now data has attributes, and let's say attributes has child objects again. So attributes are like title, so title, let's say it's what we can call origins, and who's the author of origins, novel, comma, and let's say body. I'm just constructing a sample one, so don't think this is the standard one. Body, let's say New York Times bestseller. Okay, so now attributes is closed. So when you close, and it has more. Let's say relationships, and this has data too, and we can also, data has, let's say, two more child objects inside it, ID by 6, let's say, and I can put a comma in between and continue in the same line. So type driving or something, actually, or watching. Okay, and I close the relationship, right? Now I have to, whatever I open, I have to close, right? So let's say the relationship and attributes are part of data, right? So I have to close the data also, right? And I have to close the topmost object. Okay. So I close this. Okay, so that's a JSON request, and response will be in the same format. If it is XML response, it will contain some data. For example, I am requesting customers like other information. Okay, so that will be contained. It will also contain any errors or you're expecting, and same thing for JSON response. It will also be in the form of JSON, but whatever you are expecting, you are submitting data. Let's say in the front end, you are entering your registration form, right? And then you are expecting successful message that so and so information. So all that information will be there in the response, not necessarily the same thing. So it will be complicated. Okay, so the SOA testing is testing of this both XML and JSONs. Okay, and we will what are the challenges in the SOA testing, or what are the advantages? What are the advantages of SOA testing or SOA architecture? Reusability. You can just use them over and over, right? You don't have to construct for the same web service can be shared by different vendors and they can reuse them. Just mainly differs. And you can also collaborate. collaborate. And what are the challenges or disadvantages? So disadvantage and challenge is you don't have the front end. Like any application, you can open it in a browser, Chrome browser or Firefox browser, right? You can see what's going on. But in web services, you don't have the front end. That means there is no user interface. So that's a challenge. You don't know what's going to happen when it is submitted and how it would look like in the front end. So, and for testing of web services, you need special skills, right? Testing needs special skills. Like you need to understand the XML and validate it, form the payload, and send it via a tool and hit the service, and you have to read the response, understand it. And the testing is a little bit different than the regular front-end testing, because front-end testing you don't need any special skills. You just need to do the SDLC and STLC process. Can you mute? Somebody is breathing. Okay. So those are the challenges, but you can still continue the testing. And what are the risks? So risks are the same thing, testability, right? Because no UI, it is little difficult to test, right? And in regular testing, you can also perform the load testing, performance testing. But in terms of web services, it is little bit difficult to perform the performance testing. So you need other tools such as JMeter, okay, which will be used for, okay, so we forgot to mention JMeter. Can be used for web services, and SoapUI Pro, which is also called ReadyAPI or SoapUI Pro, can be used for data driving the web services. Like you can get the data from Excel spreadsheet or CSV file and run the same web service over multiple sets of data, like 500 sets of data you can run on the same web service. So, and in a way you can also run a load test on a web service to see how it is performing. Like after running 500 concurrent payloads, hit the service concurrently, it might go down, or it might only fetch 300 responses successfully and then it will just go down. So that's possible. So in order to do that, we have to do, and penetration testing can be done for the security. So that's different story though. So performance testing is challenging, risky, because why it is challenging? The testability, I mean, testability is challenging or risky because no UI. Performance testing is risky because overload, right? Overload can happen and the service might go down. Security testing. Security testing is also risky because of buffer overflow. So these will be useful if, I mean, interview point of view, somebody asks, you can tell. You don't have to know in depth. Interoperability. What is interoperability? Interoperability is operating between different systems. So what are the different systems? Operate between, like J2E, Java 2, Enterprise Edition, and .NET or different OSs like Windows and Mac. Okay, so that you have to check interoperability and compatibility, compliance. So compliance in the sense it has to adhere to certain norms set by W3C, Worldwide Web Consortium, and example.org or namespaces, whatever. So those have to adhere certain conditions. Just now we have seen if we do not end a tag, automatically it will not open. Okay, so that is invalidated automatically. So forget about the running. So validation. So these are the few advantages, disadvantages, and risks. So what we will see examples, don't worry. So examples once I finish the theory we'll see. So what is the service? In fact, in the service oriented architecture we keep hearing about the term service, right? So service has two things. One is request and other end we have the response. So the service is said to be functional only if both requests are gone through and response is fetched back successfully. Otherwise it's said to be failed, right? Like in the same front-end testing, if all the test steps pass, only then the whole test case is called successful, otherwise it's failure. So for example, there is a service like which is integrated with SSA. Okay, what is SSA? Social Security Administration, right? Now we have what is it called? What is the agency for driving? What is the short form? Driving license agency. Oh, I don't know what. Okay, so driving license agency, you give all the details including your SSN, right? Now they have to check whether the SSN you have provided is correct or not. So they will send a request to Social Security Organization. Then your first name, last name, date of birth, gender, and your SSN will be sent in the form of XML, just like this. Okay, let's say customer first name, last name, date of birth, gender, blah blah blah. It will be sent, and the service, okay, it will hit the service. Okay, so there will be API or whatever, and I am sending a JSON request and asking this service to give me success or failure. Okay, if it is valid, just send me success, valid, otherwise send me failure and reason for failure. First name wrong, last name wrong, whatever could be the reason. If failure, so failure always comes back with the reason or description, error and error description, error code and error description. So that will be sent back to the deport driver license, let's say. Okay, so here I am sending a request. Request has to be properly formatted, and then it will be sent to this service. You can say web service, and it will validate it. Okay, it has its own logic code, and it will send back the response, success or failure. Okay, so in this case, both the request and response, as a tester I am forming the request correctly, and I am also checking the request is through successfully and processed, and I'm also getting response successfully. Successful in the sense both validation wise as well as the end result wise. End result wise in the sense, okay, what is the validation wise? Validation means it has to be validated, properly formatted, and checked against schema. And in terms of end result wise, it has to be, if I am entering the correct details, I have to get the success. If I am entering the correct details in the request and I'm getting the wrong response with the error code, that is a failure. Okay, and if I'm sending the wrong details in the request, I'm getting successful response. Let's say I'm expecting the error code, but I'm getting successful response, which is also wrong. So that is failed scenario. So we have both happy paths and failed cases as far as the testing is concerned. Happy path testing and error code testing. So in terms, just to make sure everything is working fine, we have to coverage, in terms of coverage, we have to cover all happy paths and all error codes. So web service are independent applications. So these are standalone, okay, and these are integrated with the application in such a way that seamlessly, okay, in such a way that whenever you perform an operation on the front end, and it will automatically invoke certain web service under the hood. You don't see it, but it will happen. So if you read the documentation, you will know, okay, hey, after this operation on the front end, this particular web service will be invoked on the background, okay, and it will run and fetch the response, and the response will be displayed on the next page of your browser. Okay, that's how you see. So if the response is not properly displayed or not displayed at all, you would have to understand that the web service is down or it's not working properly. Then you would raise a defect, or you talk to developer or talk to the integration team, hey, the service is down. It would probably also display the response and display that internal service issue or whatever on the front end, so you would easily know. So apart from this front end, in the form of front end, you would check the web services, which is called end-to-end testing, because it covers both front end, database, and web services, and that is a complete story from start to finish, and hence it is called end-to-end testing. Apart from this, we will also test web services separately, like I said. So using what? Using the tools, SoapUI or REST Assured or REST API or Postman, we will just concentrate on those requests and responses only, and we don't worry about the front end thing. So that is called SOAP testing or REST testing or SOA testing, SOA testing. So for SOA testing, we need few parameters. I mean, we need few data available. Unlike front-end testing, we don't need anything. I mean, we need browser and other things, but we need few things. So first we need is URI. Okay. So URI is just like a URL. Okay. And you need to ask the developer. He will give you. It will be $WSDL. Okay, so this is also called endpoint. So that is equivalent to your URL in the web front-end testing. Okay, so once you get this, you will add this to the SoapUI tool. Okay, examples of this are these. Let's say WSDL URL for a service called global weather. It would look like this. Examples. Okay, so we have to check this is supposed to be working. Okay, that's a free web service, so we'll check in the SoapUI. Okay, another web service URL is this guy. Okay, we will check. I am not sure whether the two of them are working. And REST API, we will see directly on the code. Not. And okay, and there is one more I just saw for converting temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, so that we will directly check when it comes. One more is temperature conversion service, Fahrenheit to Celsius. Just remind me. So when we see that, when we do the thing on the SoapUI, we'll directly go there. Okay, so weather report, weather service will do the same thing. So it has a service set up somewhere. Okay, all we are doing is we are just entering in the request a zip code or city name with the state name or something. That's the request, and hit the URI and it will fetch back the weather. Simple as it. Okay, if it is up and running. If it is not up and running, it is down, it won't fetch the response at all. It will, or if it is not working properly, it will fetch the response wrongly. So then we would know that it is not working. So in SOA, we have the application on the one end, service, web service in the middle, and there is service bus, enterprise service bus sitting in the middle. Okay, so which acts as a middleware. Okay, so middleman, like just like vendor, it acts as a middleware, and whatever request comes through, it processes, it converts. When you enter something in the front end, it will be for the display purpose, right? So it will be converted into XML. So this enterprise service bus takes it and sends it to the server service, and it will get back some data result, right? Now again it will form the response in terms of XML, and again it will send back to the code, Java code, and it will process, and again it forms nicely. Developer puts into HTML wherever he needs to display in the browser, then again you get it on the front end. So that's how it works. So all we see the front end screens, but under the hood on the back end, this is what happens. So there are a couple of layers in the network. If you're aware of it, there are 7 layers in the network: service layer, process layer, consumer layer, and blah blah blah, right? So if you're aware of it, you would know. So these layers, the service testing should focus on. So service layer is one. So testing on layers, services layer. So services layer consists of services and whatever like different services. If for example there are one such service is SSA service, right? So likewise there are different services. For example, if I am sending some data to the transport administration, and it will also check against licensing administration, or I am sending some data which involves the social security thing, so that will be checked against the social security administration. So there will be multiple services set up, and all the services should be working fine, and they're fetching the correct data. So, and process layer is the second one. So this consists of collection of services and single functionality as part of ETL testing, you might have heard. So we don't need to go there. We'll directly jump to our consumer layer. Is basically dealing with what the final consumer sees on the browser. So these 3 layers: services layer and process layer and consumer layer. Consumer layer is where you're sitting in front of system opening the browser, right? So you're the consumer. So you send a request and that will be processed through process layer, and the service layer fetches the response and comes back to process layer again back to consumer layer. So again you see the result on the next page. When you click the next button or submit button, you see it on the front end. So that's the whole theory. Okay, what is the approach for SOA testing? How should you proceed? What should be your strategy? So we have seen in the front end testing, there are a couple of techniques like black box testing techniques, right? You don't just need jump to the testing. So you adopt some techniques such as BVA, black box testing, boundary value analysis, and equivalence class partitioning, which are part of boundary black box testing. So that makes your test cases concise, precise, and optimized, right? So likewise, there is some approach for SOA testing also, which is called SOA strategy for SOA testing. So first all, you have to make sure that you have the right information, you have URI, and make sure the service is up and running. Okay, and prepare the SOAP or REST request payload and validate it in any tool. Okay, using a tool. Okay, then prepare any data pool if you're planning to run the data driven testing, okay, on multiple sets of data, and hit the service and analyze the response, okay, and then report. Okay, you can add or give or take few more tests, a few more steps, but this is all part of SOA testing. So first of all, you have to make sure you have the URI, make sure the URI, and report the results finally. Okay, and you can add in traceability also, matrix requirements, traceability matrix. You can add what are the results, and if there is any errors, you can also report and track the defects, raise the defects, and same process goes on for the SOA testing also. And mostly, like we saw in the testing software development life cycle, we have seen where the whole part of the application is not implemented. So for example, the parent functionality is not implemented completely, but the child functionalities are done. So if the parent functionality is not completed, the developer would provide what? As a sample program or a program called driver, right? So that will be in terms of services only. So you would simply prepare a non-UI. So UI is not ready. How would I say this? So for example, login functionality is not ready, right? So instead, he would give you the login service. So all you have to do is, without front end, you would prepare a request, user ID password, just prepare in XML and you send it, and it will validate against it. I'm just giving an example. And likewise, this child functionalities are not ready. Okay, in which case you would give the what? Stubs. Okay, you already known this, right? I have already explained this before. Drivers and stubs, and top down bottom up approach, remember. So these will be dummy interfaces, and to make up for UI, okay, dummy interfaces are web service interfaces. Okay, so it will be given by the developer too. In case the whole functionality is not ready, then internally also you can have the services, and externally, like I told you, third party services like SSA and Department of License or whatever. So the main in the real time, they can also interact with different services, because you don't have all the data. Like for example, the Department of Licensing does not have data for Social Security, right? So in which case they will simply ask for the data through API or API calls or XML calls. So they will hit their own database and send back the response, whatever is needed. So they won't fetch back all the data from the database, which is actually security wise, it's not good. So only the data requested for will be response back with. So that is the whole idea. So like I said, the functional testing will be done in the web services, and performance testing will be done using JMeter, and penetration testing will be done, and integration testing will be done, and finally end-to-end testing will be done. So these are the different testings done in the service-oriented architecture thing. And like we discussed, the mainly we face challenges in terms of lack of interfaces, and testing process needs more data, complex data. Sometimes it's not as easy as it sounds, and we need to test on multiple systems. And the regression testing especially is more complicated, especially when it comes to web services testing. So web service testing, if it is just front-end testing, we would just automate it or run manually. But when it comes to like 200 web service testing, which is very difficult, it's very difficult because of the fact that it doesn't have any front end in the first place. And there are not just one layer, it is a multi-layer architecture. So there are more difficulties just even to find out any bugs, defects. So in front end we can easily find the defects, but it's not easy to find defects in the web services. And multiple layers makes it difficult, like I said. And validation, authentication, authorization, these are again different, because just to hit the service you need to be you need to pass the right key, which or the big key with the credentials, and which basically authenticates. And after authentication you need to authorize to run the service to fetch the proper data. So all these challenges are posed while you're performing the SOA testing. And okay, SOA testing tools, mainly you can run on the desktop. Okay, it's very difficult to run on Unix systems or something, but Windows you can run. So all you need to do is download tools such as SoapUI, REST API, I don't know, the Postman, okay, blah blah blah. Just download these tools and install.
Last week you told us to download SoapUI and Postman and to install it.
Did you do it already? Everybody did that? Okay, then we will directly jump. So who has them installed? SoapUI. We will go and run these.
I have it.
Okay, then what is your name? I will make you the presenter and then we will connect.
Russell.
Russell, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Or Shukla, whoever has it, let's connect to Russell. Okay. You are the presenter, Russell, and share your screen.
Can you see?
Yes, I can. Everybody can see?
Yes.
Okay, so give me the control. I will show you and you can practice it.
So what I have to do?
Give me the control. Keyboard and mouse control.
I'm sorry, can you tell me how to give you control? I forgot.
Right click on my name, Sangam.
Okay.
And you will see option called keyboard and mouse controls.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I got it. Got it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so as soon as you open the SoapUI, you see, click on the file. Okay, so and create new soap project. Okay, now it will ask you to enter the WSDL. Okay, WSDL and project name. So project name automatically it will take if I give WSDL. So let's see that sample WSDL from, or let me ping first. Okay, examples. I'm just okay. Russell, did you get the chat? Can you open?
Yeah, hold on.
I couldn't see your chat, so copy it and put it in Notepad so that I can see. I pinged 3 web services, 2 I think.
So you want me to put one of them or like or
Notepad.
anything?
Open Notepad and put it there. You can't put all of them in the visual, right? Okay, so let's try this global weather. So in real-time project, you will get the URI, so don't worry. But these are the dummy services, so we have to see whether they are up and running. Then only you can. Okay. Okay, so let's say webs. Right. So I'm copying one and paste into the initial result. So automatically a project name will be taken. You can modify it if you want to. You can say it global weather web service or whatever, but I keep it be. And if you look at this, this is like any other URL, right? Like www.google.com with HTTP. And at the end, there is a question mark and WSDL. So this is the whole endpoint. Okay, so this makes it web service related. You can uniquely identify a web service with this URI. Okay, and create requests, sample requests for operations you can check, or so normally it will create the template and you can fill in the details. And test suite is normally for like I told you, data driven web service testing. Like you can create whole test suite, and test suite will contain test case, test step, data source, soap request, property transfer, data sync, and data source loop. So how many times you want to loop it. So all these things are part of. So since we are not going to that, I wouldn't recommend, but we will see it later. So I don't want to make it complicated. And relative path is it's not mandatory, so I can just click OK. Yeah, that's what I thought. Web service, unexpected element C data. So what's wrong with this global weather? Unexpected data. Let's remove WSDL. Yeah, still error. That's what I thought. Sometimes these services are not reliable. Okay, let's take a look at other. And we will see the temperature, which even if one works, we can show it. Okay, somebody saying is working. Global weather. Okay, this is the correct one. Naeem is pinging. Can you copy this Naeem's? I think that's the correct
Yeah,
URL.
that's the correct one, I guess.
Can you paste it over here? Some services are outdated, so let probably got the outdated. It just ping, yeah. Glow graph. Okay, see, it is different. Okay, copy this and paste into the visual. So if it opens successfully, it will form the request template. So that means that it is at least working. Okay, go ahead and hit OK. I think it's okay. Perfect. Yeah, okay. Okay, send that to everyone. Okay, now we will see. If you see, there are a couple of services with this. Okay, and these are called request payload. Okay, so if I open this, you can have multiple requests. In case you want to use this request later, you can just right click it and clone it. Okay, so that you can have multiple requests and you don't want to mess up. I can say I want to work on this. So let me call this payload number 1 so that I know that this is what I need. So it will basically clone it and so now it created a payload. So we know that this is the ours. Now if you look at, yeah, so this is envelope, header, and no header, so it's straight away closed, body, and blah blah blah. Don't worry, these are namespaces like I told you, so just ignore them. And sector question mark is what you have to replace with. Okay, that's a test data, like you are entering first name last name in the front end browser. So likewise, question mark is the test data expected. So basically it's asking you to enter it. So let's say sector is, I don't know what sector, let's call it New York. Corner points, and this is closed and body is closed and envelope is closed. That's it. Now there are, first you need to validate it, whether it is correct or not, in case something is missing, right? So you just save it. Save all will automatically save everything that you open. Yes. Okay, before this we will remove. Okay, it's already okay. Okay, let me create new folder. So you can store all of these web services XMLs, and afterwards you can easily import this. Import and export will be easier. So if you save it, the XMLs you can directly import later. Has not been saved. Yes. Okay, so it basically says all of this. Okay, I think before this I will remove this because it's trying to save all these global weathers, and it probably will overwrite the blank one. I mean overwrite ours with the blank one. Okay, delete or remove. We don't need the blank one, so no. Right click. No. Okay, so just to save it again, and just make it like this. Okay, now we know that this is the one is saved. Okay. Overwrite, yeah, that's what I thought, it was overwritten. Okay, so in case you need to import it later, I mean, even if others want to import it, you can just import the project. Okay, or imported packet project is a zip file. If you have multiple XMLs, you can import the zip files, but single projects, you can import project directly. Okay, so let's try to validate it before, okay, step by step that I mentioned in the steps. So there is a shortcut, I think Alt F or something. but we will see the option first, then use the shortcut. Step, not here. I think it should be in the file. Project. Do you see validate or something? Resolve import. Okay, I think it's right click.
The first
Validate.
one, that one.
Alt V, yeah. Alt V and Alt F will format XML. So Alt V and Alt F, just remember. But you can always right click. Okay. So if validation has, okay, validation is not supported. That's okay. If validation is failed, that's bad. So that is for validating and aligning, and all those things will be taken care by format XML. Okay. Alt V and Alt F you need to do before running it. So for example, if this is like this, and if I just Alt V or right click and format XML, it will be realign like this. So it will look nice, and then save all. Every time you just save all so that it's not auto save, so you don't want to lose. Then submit the request to specified endpoint. So this is the endpoint. Okay. So when I hit this button, it will submit this request and it will process and fetch me back the response. So request is on the left side and response is on the right side. Okay. So if we enter the correct request and service is up and running and working fine, it will fetch the correct response. Otherwise, you will see errors. Okay. So it says list node blah blah blah. So it is fetching something. Okay. So that's a response, but it's not very what it is doing we don't know. So we will pick the actual request that we understand. So the request name is corner point, so we don't know, there is no description, so we don't know what. So it just fetch the response, and response is just like XML, but you see there is no errors and it is perfectly fine. I don't see any error here. Okay. And the response time is basically how many milliseconds this response is sent back and we received. So that's for the performance. Okay, we will pick the one which we understand. This is the global weather. So I know for a fact that if I enter a zip code, it will give me the weather temperature, right? So I'll go with this. This is what I was expecting. Okay, so you can clone it and make it a payload. If you don't want to clone it, just hit it. Okay, so that means you are losing the template basically. If I am using it, always a good idea to clone it. Okay, zip code list. Okay, probably it will support multiple zip code, but we will enter the single zip code. Okay, tell me the your city zip code or New York zip code.
11230.
11230. Okay, now save it as usual. I think yeah, it is saved. Okay, now you can go full screen if you want to. Okay, now it is running and response is gotten back. Okay, let's see what the response contains. Okay, so last long list, whatever that is the response. Okay, forget about LT and GT. LT stands ampersand LT stands for left bracket, left angular bracket. So for Java, this will be replaced. Ampersand GT represents greater than bracket. So this is ampersand LT. This is ampersand GT for Java. Okay, so the response is gotten back with so and so this 40.6496 comma minus 73. Okay, so that's the response, whatever that means. So maybe it's in longitude, latitude, I don't know. It's supposed to be temperature, global weather, but let's look at the other one. So the request is prepared and sent and the response is gotten back. Okay, now This is the actual response. Now you have the expected response also, right? In the requirements document, requirement specification document, you have the, our integration team gives you, okay, hey, this is a what you should expect, or the database tells you. So you should give, if this zip code must have the so and so. I mean, I'm just telling you an example. For this zip code, the temperature is not always constant. It is variable. So you always check the actual result against the expected result, compare it, and both are match, you say it pass, report it. Okay, that's a testing process. Automation wise, same thing, you capture this and compare it with in using Java, which we are going to discuss in next few classes, so don't worry about that yet. So always validation means comparing expected value with the actual value. Actual value comes runtime when you execute it. Expected value is given in the requirement document by the developer or business analyst or system analyst. Okay, so you just compare both and pass or fail, you decide. Okay, so now let's look at another GMT time last line series dgen by day. Dgen by day, I don't know what that means, but let's look at it. So when in the real-time project, when you are given a web service, you would know what the web service is supposed to do. So when you read it, or when you go to the meetings, you would know what this service is supposed to do. So you would automatically know. So the global weather, what it's supposed to know is this. So exactly, it's not described with. So we're just trying to figure out. Okay, this takes a lot of data, right? Question mark you need to replace. Unless these are the mandatory fields, you may enter the following data. So these look like mandatory fields, so you can leave it empty or you can delete it actually. But the mandatory fields you must fill in. So this particular line, which is a comment, says you may enter the following 53 items in any order. So you might have to enter in any order, or you might have to delete. You may delete. So which is fine. Okay, so we don't want to enter all those data. So let's look at this, or let's go to the other service. No, okay, that's what I thought. Latitude and longitude, start date, num days. Okay, so let's check this service, what it is doing. Okay, so latitude, let me enter 20.2. Longitude. If you know longitude, latitude from Google, we can enter and see. Probably it will return the place name. So let's see. Start date, and you have to know exactly what format it takes. Number of days. Okay, let's see. Unit, I don't know what
I have few questions.
Format. Okay, so unless and until we know what exactly is this string, so that's, I'm just entering XYZ string. So if you enter the wrong data in the payload, automatically it will fetch the wrong faulty string, that means error. Okay, so this is the example for wrong data in the request. So it says format needs to be either 24 hourly or 12 hourly format. Okay, so I entered something wrong in the request, so automatically you would know this is not a failure case, it is actually a test data issue. That's what if you raise a defect with this and assign it to developer, you would say that, oh hey, this is not my issue, this is your issue, because it's a test data issue. So faulty code is written whenever, that means your test input is wrong. Okay, so format XYZ, it's supposed to be either in what was that? Either in 24 hourly or format. Okay, I think it's supposed to be hours or minutes. Format. So maybe DD, something like that. Okay, I'm gonna run it one more time and leave it. Probably it will return the faulty string again, because might be. So unless and we until we see the documentation, what is expected over here, we cannot properly test it. Okay. So again, it is complaining that okay, input format was so and so, maybe wrong. Yeah. So you need to enter something. Okay. Let's take one more subgrid. Last line. Okay. Okay, latitude long. Okay, that's what it means. Lat long means latitude longitude list city names. Okay, let's see this. This probably looks like a self-explanatory, but you get the idea. This is how you test the web service. Okay, so this is display level. What is display level? Is in the documentation. Integer. Okay, so I can know from what data type it is, just like database. So okay, so this says, okay, so these are the longitudes and latitudes, Kansas City. Yeah, so this is a happy path. I mean, it's a positive test case. So all you do is you take the request and you put the response, and you maintain an Excel spreadsheet for this, which I think I shared in the probably I'll share. I probably have shared. You just look at there, and it has how do you report this test results, whether it is functional testing, content testing, or database testing, or web service. Okay, time series. Okay, automated density, simple plus. What is it? Okay, you try this. Okay, let's go to the Celsius to Fahrenheit. That is very simple. You just enter the temperature in centigrade and it. Let's save this and Russell, can you create a new SOAP project and just put that visual into that and see?
Which one I should put?
Oh, okay. You don't have that, right? Okay, go to Google. Okay, Google. Just type sample web services. It will probably. Go to the one which is temperature, not temperature. Temperature, right? That's the one, right? First one. Go there. W3 schools, right? Yeah. No, the first one. It has two links. I don't know whether the two links are working. Yeah, click on that. Celsius to Fahrenheit service. Okay, go to WSDL. Check the URL or URI or WSDL. Sure. Directly given. Okay, just put the number over there. Just put some Celsius number, parentheses, and okay, that's what we got. Yeah, it's not working. Yeah, okay. So okay, let's leave this. Leave it this way. Global weather is fine. So I think you got the idea. So real-time project encounter the real-time web services, but for now this is the only one. You can search more, but yeah. So you just enter the request and see the response, and this is the process you have to follow. Always validate and format the XML and blah blah blah. Okay, so let's try with a simple REST call. REST call, you can use the SoapUI or Postman. So if you have Postman, you can open it, and we need to get the sample service also. Don't know. Okay, I'll show you the procedure. Sample service, that's fine. Okay, REST API. This is service. Okay, click on request. Yeah, that is the one. Okay, copy it and click on the request and put it over there.
Request name.
No. Request name, give anything. Okay, it's a post request, right? Not get. No, post. No, cancel. So click on the
Like
plus
this one?
sign. Yeah, plus sign. No, select. Okay, that's fine. Get remove. Just drop it down and select post. Yeah, but post.
But it says sent like.
Here I am taking control. So these are the type of service. It's posting or it's getting. So mostly we'll use post, and that's the service. And if there is any key authentication required, you put the key and value here. Just copy it in, copy and paste it here. And headers you will put here. Body is the one where you form the JSON request. JSON request in yeah. So okay, we need to get the sample request because the template is not formed. You need to know prior hand what should be the request. So like I told you, this sample response, sample. I don't think I can copy. Oh, I can't copy over there, right? Okay, so I just need you copy over there. This is a sample one. It's not pertaining to this service. Wonderful.
So you want me to copy that here?
Copy and paste. Yeah, paste it. Control A, Control V. It's just remove that. Okay, so that is a request. Okay, and when you hit this, send this, you will get the response right here underneath. So let's see, this is invalid request, so you will get the wrong response, obviously. Okay, so that is the where was it? Just go down. Yeah, so that is the response. So it is actually faulty response because obviously we have put the wrong request, right? US service, weather service, whatever it is. expecting different. So let's go to this, just Google this and see sample request for this one, Wonderground, so that we can put the correct request and we'll get the correct response. So this response is showing it is still showing the response properly, but sample JSON, sample request, we need the request, not the response. When we obviously send the correct request, we get the correct response. What is that? Oh, no. Go, yeah. Just type something. Sample request for Wonderground. Sample JSON. WUNDER ground, I think. It's spelled different. Yeah, just type it. Google will take care of the typos. That's fine. Okay, so showing result for, yeah, just click on the first one, right? So the documentation should have somewhere. The testing is difficult to tell because unless until you are actually dealing with the services, you can't. Okay, come down. Example is given. Looks like there is. Okay, there it is. So that is on. .json is just like .xml. So just take that file and hit it. Show the response.
Which
yeah,
one?
hit show the response. Yeah, right there. Yeah, there is a button called show the response. Right? Yeah, click it. Oh no, I think you clicked on the code samples. We don't want the code
No,
samples.
that's no.
There was actually a button called. Oh, there we go. That's it. That is a response, right? Okay, request. You can see it in JSON. Just copy this whole thing. I'll tell you. Yeah, copy it in. And only copy that much. Yeah, copy it in. Open the new tab and paste it. It will show the text of the request itself. Then we will go ahead and hit it in the Postman. Yeah. Okay, hit it. It will probably download the JSON file or just, yeah, there we go. That is the request. Now copy this and go to the rest Postman and paste it over there. But it shows error. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Send. Okay, the body, yeah, response body is down below. The request that server could not understand. Yeah, so this is a sample JSON response. It is not in the form of JSON, so we have to select. Yes, select. This is in the form of HTML, right? So select raw. That's a pretty. Oh, not even raw. Preview. No. Oh, okay. So obvious. Oh no. Wait a second. Where is the response? So we selected the HTML. That's why it is printed in HTML. Yeah, right there. So just change. No. It's gone. Go there and change the HTML to JSON. So the request is shown in the JSON format, right? So likewise, the response should be shown in the JSON format. It is shown in the HTML format. Okay, there is a HTML thing over there. Just click it. Yeah, select right. Could not. Okay, because the request is wrong, response cannot be formatted. Okay, go back to the Google the site Wonderground. We can, okay, that's pretty much the testing. That's all we do. You put the URI, prepare the request JSON and post it, and you will get the JSON response. Not here. Yeah, here. So this is the response. It shows no, in the Wonderground only. Not this one. This is wrong. It directly shows error in the request, right? So obviously.
You know, The thing is, I guess, the what is called weather API. Yeah, that looks okay.
Yeah, we need to take the right example. Unfortunately, there are not many examples that are working for web service testing. So theoretically, this is what you have to do. And I would actually show you how to automate it when we use the Selenium WebDriver and rest assured. So I'll show you that is easier than manual testing for the web services. Automation is more easier. Okay, let's see one more example. If it works, fine. Otherwise, we'll close today's session, and I will start Java in the next session directly. Only one day for website. Okay, go back to the Google results and see if we can get more examples. Current condition in US city, that is the service, and sample underground JSON request to pull current. Okay, go to this GitHub thing, sample underground JSON request to pull current temperature. The last one. Yeah, click. I don't think it is a, must be Java project.
No, that's on Python.
Python, okay. Okay, go back. That's okay. Go to the same underground site and
Wi-Fi network. You can reconnect to Wi-Fi from your Google Home app under Devices, then
go back to the Google results again.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a Google result.
Google, the Google Home respond. Okay, underground. Just go to the underground. First result, API weather one underground. Okay, weather underground is underground. Okay, that's a short form. Weather underground is named as underground. Okay, does this have any exams?
I think we have to change here.
That's obviously not working. It is working right here, but it is not giving the
I
request.
get some results on my machine, but I don't know if it's correct or wrong.
Really? Okay. Yeah, but when you click it, it's...
Yeah, I just copied the response from there and pasted the HTML, but it shows some results. I don't know if it's correct or wrong.
Okay, that's a response. How you can't send a response? You send a request and get the response back, right? The request shows right in the URI itself. It shows .json file. Okay, try it if it works.
No, not that one.
Yeah, obviously not that one. You are trying to send a response, which is other way around. You have to send the request and it does the response. Okay,
But
anyway.
I don't see any JSON code there.
Okay, it's printing in HTML, right? Because you selected HTML. You can pretty print in different formats. It automatically went to HT5 because it says it's wrong and it says it could not beautify it. So that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. I think it's already time 10:44, right? Okay, we will call it a day, and you can Google it more and try to gain more knowledge. But don't worry, we will cover this in the automation. Manual testing, like I said, there is not many web services which are working up and running, which we can test manually. Okay, so any questions on web service testing or so far in database testing or manual testing?
So we have to write down those JSON code for Postman?
Yeah, JSON request you need to form it. So when you are given documentation, it would contain sample JSON request along with URI. So you would take it and just change the values. You will create your own payload and then you send it, post it. Then you'll all you have to check is whether you are getting the correct JSON response or not, and check the values basically against the expected values. So you compare expected values with actual
So
values.
I have one more question. Like, let's say about when we test the test cases, we send a bug report through the JIRA. So do you have to use the same things for that, or like we have to report like on Excel sheet?
Yeah, Excel sheet is fine. It all you have for web services testing, all you have is service name, the payload, the data you used, and verdict, successful or failure. And if there is any comments, if you can put like defects or defect number, JIRA number. So we use only Excel spreadsheet. But if there are many web services like 200 plus or 300 plus, you would want to go to a tool, which is the one you mentioned. So there are, it all depends on the project to project, the tools, technologies changes.
Yeah, okay, that's all.
Yeah, so it's totally dependent, and you can, okay, one more is for REST. There are different tools like ReadyAPI also you can use for REST services, and there is a REST assured.jar which we will be using for in automate, how to automate the REST assured services, which I will show you when we are done with the Java core Java session, and then we go to the Selenium WebDriver automation testing. So that will take, I think, 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks Java. So mostly I have covered the manual testing, of course, which is much more important for you guys. And for database testing is part of manual testing. So just concentrate on select with all those group by hang and joins. Those are important. And we will have a session for interview fact, and then the web service testing with this SOAP and REST XMLs, REST JSONs. And you can also use JMeter. JMeter is similar. Okay, so just download it as the UI is not much user friendly like Postman and SoapUI is, but you can understand it's a jar file, and you can just, it opens the applet kind of application. So you can, that's mainly used for the web service. I mean, so performance testing on the web services, which we can.
So I have one more question. Like, let's say about when we go to testing. So is the like the team lead, they will define like which tool we should use, or like I could choose like what I should use?
No, the team already have decided. If it is a team that's going on, they must be using some tool. You cannot decide your own tool, right? So if you are in the position where you're starting the project from the scratch, you joined the project from scratch, and you are involved in the meetings and everything, you can suggest this tool you can use. So then they would probably consider it. So it all depends. So you cannot join the project in the middle of something, and then you cannot say I want to use this tool only. So
No, that's just a like confusing thing. That's why I'm asking. Like, they will preset, or like I could choose. That's the thing.
So mostly the projects would go for the open source tool, which are free of cost, like free, no license required. So like SoapUI is free, but trial version is only for 14 days. Afterwards, you cannot run the hi-fi test like performance test and all those. You can only run the simple basic test. So for which they charge license, and SoapUI NG Pro is a licensed version. ReadyAPI is the same thing. Postman is free tool, and yeah, Eclipse is a open source. We can use it for the automation thing. And IntelliJ IDEA is not a free tool. It charges for license $5,000 per year or something. It comes with both the seated license and floating license. So if it is more number of people are using the team, then they will go for floating. That means just you use a server license, just one license. Otherwise, they have to install license on each machine. That is very cumbersome. So it all depends, again, project's budget and stuff like that. So it's all management's decision, not ours. So don't worry about that. Okay, so any more questions? We have facts. If you want, I can go through the facts. Manual testing facts, since we have time, if you want me to go. So they would mostly ask for your this thing initially, right? What is in interview? So they would ask you for what is your just explain about yourself for a few minutes. Okay, so then you would explain all the what you did and what are the different technologies you worked on and what are the projects you worked on and so forth. Then they will start the technical questions. So then you start explaining what is your framework design and everything. Okay, don't worry about those framework design, but manual testing wise, I'll just jump to the software web services testing quickly, so that since we are talking about web services testing, so these are the commonly asked interview questions. So what did you understand so far? Okay, you're sharing you're making me the presenter again, right? That's fine. Okay, so just for the manual testing, what is a functionality testing? I have already explained you, right? Functional testing contains functionality testing and usability testing. So what is functionality testing? It's basically dealing with front-end testing. So normally what we do, web page testing and all this testing comes under the functionality. Even the database testing also comes under functionality testing, because it is you are just checking the functionality in terms of database. So in fact, web services testing also comes under functionality testing, because you are checking the functionality. So front-end testing, web page testing, database testing, web service testing, all this testing comes under functionality testing. So secure performance testing is the other side of it. So you don't check the functionality, whether it's working or not, but you check whether it is working for the configuration, how much code it can support, and all those things. So don't worry, I can just go into that, introduce about performance testing in a different session, but that is totally different. I mean, it's kind of ocean. So there are like stress testing, spike testing, endurance testing, load testing, all kinds of testing in different. And security testing is like penetration testing. So they want to check the vulnerabilities of the application, like where are the loopholes and how can we rectify them. So all these things will be checked in the penetration testing. Or in short, it is known as pen testing. So when it comes to web services testing, we have the client server architecture, right? Web application and web ESB enterprise service bus in the middle, and the database server. So what is a 2-tier architecture? What is a 3-tier architecture? That would be the common question. So how do you answer that? 2-tier and 3-tier? Client server application is a 2-tier application, right? So where client browser and web application, right? It's not a web service actually, web application. So the code is sitting somewhere on the machine, okay, on server, and you are hitting with the browser. Okay, so when the both code and you're working on the same machine, like in the olden days, I mean in old bank application, they used to install the software using floppy drives in the same machine, right? So that is old architecture, like I don't know if it's called 1-tier architecture, but that is very cumbersome, because if any bug comes, you have to again fix it and make copies of floppy drive, or just go to each and every machine and insert it in and update the software, like, so that is very cumbersome. So client server is for computing architecture, which separates clients from the server, and it's always implemented over the network. So whatever this and whatever implementation is done on the network, so then you take the update, and when you whether it is a mobile app or when you are just hit the URL in the browser, you just hit the updated code, and each client or server is connected to network in a different machine, like in this so centralized environment. The network is in center and each client machine is connected, right? So automatically the latest updates are received, so there's no extra this thing need to be done. And so browser
Jay,
done, browser
come
testing.
with the tour, Jay.
Okay, so you want me to stop right here? I didn't get you. What were you saying? Okay, so database testing is the same thing. Database testing also comes as functionality testing, but as far as the in questions are concerned, you would be asked how would you write a SQL query for so and so example. They would give you how would you join two tables, how would you write the outer left outer join for getting the non-matching data from left table, employee table, and department table. Just write the query. So they would give the right real-time example and you should be writing. So don't worry about the hi-fi topics in triggers and indexes, all those are not required. So we will discuss these things again. Interview facts session will be at the end, so don't worry. So for now, this we will end it here. And in the next class, I will start Java's core Java session. That will probably take 2 to 3 classes. And next, I will start Selenium WebDriver automation. Okay, guys. So I'm ending this session here. It's almost 10 o'clock for you. Kazi, yes. Kazi, you want me to make you the presenter?
I have a question. Is it possible? Could you how is it possible you're gonna finish Java in 3 class?
Okay, good question. But if we make more days for core Java, you're going to miss more on automation. So what I'll do is I'll just briefly explain you the main concepts like control structures, conditional statements, if else, for loop, and the logic. And I'll also explain them in terms of examples. So don't worry. But we will see more of this in terms of logic and everything in implicitly in the automation classes. So do not worry, you won't miss anything. So all those concepts, OOPS concepts like encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, overloading, overriding, everything I will cover. So implicitly or explicitly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, don't worry. So yeah, I'm just calling a separate core Java session because before, if some people are not even aware of Java, right, they might not be done. They might not have done any courses before. So for them, it's an introductory class. But we will see, because automation is done in Java itself, core Java itself. So it's always in touch. It's continuous flow. So only for those who are not newbies for Java. So that's just introductory session. So that's why it's just 2 sessions. And I will give you more example for homework and explanation. So don't worry. And yeah, more of them we will see in terms of practicality. So mainly it's for automation. How would we use Java for automating the whole application, just like you manually test the application, right? So whether it is front end or database or web services, we automate them and run it. So that's only difference. So we will use Java for that. Okay, so any more questions? I will end. Okay, chalo, good night, bye.